Hey everyone, Draco Prime 220 here, and today this will be episode 6 of Character Critique. And to quote a line from Walt Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, what makes a monster and what makes a man? Where does the other one begin and the other end? Can they be one and the same? Tonight's character critique is going to be an interesting one. For today, or I should say tonight, because where I'm at, it's already like, I think 8, 9 o'clock. But tonight, we're going to talk about the atomic green behemoth himself, and I don't mean Godzilla. I already did the big guy. I mean Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. And I am going to talk about the ones from the iterations of Hulk from 3 of my most cherished memories of my childhood leading into adulthood. First is going to be the 78 through of the live-action series of The Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby as Dr. David Banner, and of course the big bodybuilder himself, Lou Ferrigno, playing the sometimes terrifying but sometimes very gentle giant and destructive giant, the Hulk. I will also be talking about the 1996 animated series that came out, and I will also be talking about his MCU iteration from the highest point to his lowest to hopefully his rise to grace again. So grab your drinks, grab your sodas, and grab your Mountain Dew or whatever you want. I did that for unintentionally because, green, And join me on this character critique of the Incredible Hulk. Man, monster, or hero, or all. Well, 1978's Hulk. The pilot, I have to say, was like made into a full-on movie, opens with a very, very important quote. In each of us dwells a... oh my god, I can't remember the quote. In all of us dwells a mighty raging fury. Or something like that. I think it's close to that. I apologize if I got any of the words wrong. The line... and I have to admit, it's a very ominous open, because it's all... Oh, wait, no. In all of us dwells a mighty raging... in all of us dwells a raging fury. Something like that. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember it. Now, the opening to the Incredible Hulk pilot is very eerie, because there's like this light dirge music. And you see the title, it's very kind of somber and quiet. We open up with flashbacks with David Banner with his wife, leading up to the tragedy of a car crash that he tried to get her out of, and he wasn't successful. Right off the bat, that hooks us into Banner's trauma, his sadness, his grief, and his desire to tap into the hidden power that a lot of humans could potentially possess. Now, this does lead to the interviews of multiple people that showed remarkable feats of strength. Like, for example, there is a mother and her son, and she's burned, and she actually went through a very creepily similar situation that Banner went through, but the only difference is her son's alive, his wife is not. I'm not going to go full beat story, but he taps into, like, it's the classic story of don't go tamper with things you should not mess with. Just, there are some things that you're just not meant to go searching for. He does do the iconic, exposing himself to gamma radiation, but due to finding out that he took more than what was needed, it unlocks something. On his way back home, and him in a very frustrated mood, and him pondering about how did these people get the strength that they did when he couldn't, he gets a flat tire. He goes to get it out, but he keeps smacking his hand on the concrete, which leaves him getting into extreme pain. This leads to the first ever Hulk out. of Dr. David Banner. And I gotta say, the way it is done, like it is done so, the music, that iconic eerie music when you know he's changing, and seeing his clothes tearing, and you see like the muscles bulging, and then we see Hulk himself, and he's taking his anger out on the car, pushes it over, and explodes. And according to what I've heard, that explosion was a little bit too big, and Lou Ferrigno, I think, got a little startled. Sorry. I had a very late supper. I had breakfast for supper, actually. Something quick and easy, because I was not in the mood to put the oven on. But, it then takes a scene right out of Frankenstein, where this little girl is going fishing with her father at this, and they have a little camp on the side of this river, the bank of this river, of this lake, and Hulk genuinely shows, even though he has these kind of creepy, like, white-green eyes, which I really liked, it did add to Hulk, like, you know, he is something human, but on the other hand, he's something kind of, like, superhuman. And he does try to be friendly to the kid, and the kid freaks out, and she falls into the lake, and she's drowning, pretty much, and the Hulk is trying to help. He's like, he's like, kind of at first, like he does this, like this face, like he's concerned, like, at first he does not know what to do. But then he grabs a giant tree, and he's, like, doing this, like, trying to say, climb onto the log, but the overly protective father, and I'll be honest, if I was a father if I had a daughter and I saw some giant green man using a tree, you know, could I say I would not take a shot at him? I don't know. But if I had any lingering common sense and noticing that he's just trying to help, maybe I would let him, but I'd be extremely cautious. But if I was that determined, like, if I got a feeling like, you know, your adrenaline kicks in, you're like, oh my god, what is that thing doing with that tree to your kid, you know? You're gonna react in that way. And of course, he does shoot, which leads to Hulk, of course, taking his anger out on him. And, he leaves, he escapes, and, he transforms. He actually has this moment where he sits down and sees himself, his reflection in this little pool of water, and he's like, he does like this, like he's like a little shocked at what he looks like. But then he changes back to Banner, and Banner even was like, oh my god. And I like it that he still has the contacts in his eyes that make it look like he still's got the Hulk eyes. Then it leads to where, one, we find out Banner can heal pretty fast, and then they go to this chamber that, you know, to try and recreate what could have caused the anger, and he goes to sleep, and then he starts to have the same nightmare of when he lost his wife, which leads to the Hulk breaking out of the container and showing great feats of strength. This does lead to the Hulk being like, and I do like how they go into how, like, he's the more primitive side. It's Banner's primal emotions made physical form. His primitive emotions run wild. And it does lead to, of course, Jack McGee making a second appearance, trying to get information. And David Banner says the iconic line, Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. But it does lead to the laboratory exploding and leading to Banner's third Hulk out, which would inevitably, you know, set in the events of the series, where Hulk saves, I can't remember her name, who is helping him and actually does love him, but unfortunately she dies. And this does lead to one of Hulk's most saddest moments, where he carries her to the forest and she's admitting, you know, she loves him, and she dies. And it does lead to, like, Hulk, like, picking up her energy, and he's like, and then he lets out the saddest roar that echoes throughout the whole forest. And you see this mixture of, like, confusion, like, he doesn't, like, it's almost like he's, like, when he's doing, like, looking like this, looking around, like, he's, like, processing, but it's almost like he's kind of, he doesn't know what to do. It's like something's like, this ain't right, she ain't moving, she ain't breathing. This is almost like unfortunately, this is like a child who's, you know, growing, who's, you know, who witnesses their parent passing away, or someone they love passing away, and they just don't know how to process it, and sometimes they scream and cry and yell, or all the above. And this is almost like Hulk is like a child experiencing someone dying for the first time, which in a way it technically is. And it's just so sad how it ends. And Lou Ferrigno's performance without any talking, just grunts and growls, who actually were done by Lurch from the Addams Family, who also did the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla Roars for that animated series. Hulk just went through so much throughout the series. Now, I'm not going to talk about every episode, because this would be a very long, episode of Character Critique. There are going to be 3 events I will talk about that really stick out. The first one is when Banner goes back to see his father. And of course, the one scene leads to Banner having a dream about how his father was to him and Mom, and he turns into Hulk and actually displays his strength by tossing these pretty big bales of hay. Of course, the father goes out with his gun to pursue whoever this is, and it's a really intense moment, but also there is a scene where they're in a plane and these people are trying to either sabotage the plane to get rid of David Banner's father, and it does lead to a very emotional moment of Banner becoming the Hulk while on the plane, and it does lead to where his father says, you gotta leave, and Hulk's like shaking his head like no, and he kind of roars, and then you see him crying, and it's really a very sad moment. It's one of those many sad moments for the Hulk. Now, I am going to talk about, really quick, the death of the Incredible Hulk, which was unfortunately the final made-for-TV film featuring Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby as the those iconic characters. I'm going to be honest. The death of the Incredible Hulk was a bit of a disappointment for me. I'm going to be honest. I was thinking, is there an other Hulk creature? And I will be getting to that other moment here in a minute. Because I was thinking, is Hulk going to have to fight an other Hulk like himself? Were they going to do their iteration of Grey Hulk? I don't even know when, was Grey, yeah. I think Grey Hulk was, already in the comics in the 90s. So I was thinking, were they going to get another person who becomes, their iteration of Hulk, but it's Grey, and it leads to a battle between Hulk and Grey Hulk, where Hulk has to go to that extent, similar to Superman Doomsday, where he has to lose to beat this other Hulk? Nope. I will be honest, the death of the Incredible Hulk's ending is so anticlimactic. Hulk has survived so much throughout the series, and you mean to tell me him jumping out of an exploding, when the plane explodes, and he's falling out and hits the ground, you mean to tell me that was the thing to kill him? It was sad, but on the other hand, I'm like, what? Okay, that's just how it ends? That's a bit of a anticlimactic ending, but there was talk that they were going to make another direct-to-TV film called Revenge of the Incredible Hulk, where Banner is brought back to life, and he's normal. He's actually, when they bring him back, he can't change into the Hulk. And they did say there was going to be other Hulk-like creatures. And then they gotta ask Banner to go through the process again to become Hulk and fight these other Hulk-like creatures. Now, that would have been kind of cool. Now, I do know Bill Bixby, he wasn't doing the best health-wise at this point. There are some rumors saying it was because of his health, but then they were saying, he could still act, he was still acting at that point. I actually would have liked if they did that movie to where Banner died, Banner is alive again. Basically, his life is on reset. He could be a normal human being. But now, unfortunately, fate does not smile upon him to where, once again, he has to go through the process again and become the Hulk once more. And I actually would have liked if it ended where Banner's walking off again. He's on his own. He cannot be seen as the Hulk. No one could know. I really think that would have been a perfect ending where he died, came back, and he becomes the Hulk again, and his life is all he's going through the whole thing all over again. It's almost like the metaphor for a non-ending cycle. That, I think, would have been a very good way to end it, to where he's just continuously trying to find a place to stay hidden and find a cure. There is really no peace or a moment's rest for Banner. And I think that would have been an interesting way to end before Bill Bixby unfortunately passed away. Now, there is one honorable mention I will bring up, is the Hulk and Thor fight. Like, we got Hulk fighting Thor way before the MCU ever did it. And it was in the made-for-TV film The Incredible Hulk Returns, where where Thor shows up, and he actually has a brief brawl with the Hulk, but then sees that he has strength, and they team up to beat the bad guys in the end. They actually start teaming up. And actually, Thor calls Hulk Troll. And I think that's kind of cool. And I actually enjoyed that. One was more enjoyable than the death of the Incredible Hulk. I have to say the trial and the Incredible Hulk Returns were my favorites. There is one more honorable mention that I gotta mention, because this always irked me in the show. They did one thing I finally wanted them to do. Have Banner change into the Hulk in front of everyone. You want to keep pushing him, you want to keep saying, like, I kind of thought it would have been kind of cool if they brought some of the other people from other episodes to be like, well, that's that guy, and we know him, but that guy looks the same as the others we've met. Like, I think it would have been kind of cool if, like, some of the actors from some of the other Hulk episodes showed up, like that's like that one where he was a slave, or the other ones where he had a massive impact, and they were like, that's not who he says he is. That's a scientist. And I wish Jack McGee showed up, because I really wanted Jack. I'm sorry, Jack McGee was just, you know, he's the typical in the beginning, the arrogant reporter, just bound and determined to get a story. But then he's like, he kind of, like in the Mystery Man two-parter, I believe, he just reveals he wants to be someone. He's actually a very selfish person, and he's bound and determined to go after the Hulk. And I would have loved to see Jack McGee finally see David Banner. Well, he actually does, but then David Banner has to kind of say he's like because there's like a twin of him in one episode, to where he's not that guy. He's not David Banner. I would have loved if, like, Jack McGee cornered Banner and is like, Banner? But, like it's really, I would really want Jack McGee to figure out, you've been Banner you've been alive this whole time. And Banner tells him, Jack, back off. You've been trailing me all these years. I would have loved some form of conversation where he's trying to tell Jack McGee to back off. And I would have loved where he tries to tell Jack that Hulk did not kill that girl in that explosion. He tried saving her. And I would have loved if, like, Jack McGee said, how do you know? Because I am the creature, I am the Hulk you're looking for. And I don't know if Jack McGee would immediately believe him, but maybe something happens and he does transform into the Hulk. And I would have where Jack McGee I don't know if I would want to redeem him, or would he still be bound and determined to expose Hulk and realizing that he is Banner. I don't know. I think something should happen with that eventually. But one thing that kind of ruins the scene for me, despite the Hulk finally transforming, like Banner transforming in front of everyone, it's a frickin' dream sequence. Well, we also get a cameo from Stan Lee, I think one of his first cameos. And it's just like, it's a dream? What? And then we see Banner wake up, and he actually escapes as the Hulk, but we don't see the escape scene, we just hear it. And I'm like, oh, I know the budget and stuff, but it was a bummer we never saw the escape of the Hulk, like him trashing through everything to get out. That would have been pretty cool, but of course, probably the budget, they didn't have enough for it. But, yeah. Now there is going to be the big scene, the one of my most favorite episodes. The favorite two-parters. Because I was always wondering, does the Hulk fight another Hulk-like creature? He does. In the two-parter called The First, where, there's this older man. Oh my god, I can't remember his name. He's like the caretaker of the place. He's got arthritis, and he openly reveals to Banner, Donald Fry. I just remembered. Thank goodness. Donald Fry, like, is not a good guy. He's intoxicated with the power of the Hulk, of the creature he became. And I like to believe that Banner's Hulk reflects the good, the noble intention, like the noble savage, willing to, like, be beastly and imposing, but still being a hero, while Donald Fry's monster, he's a monster when he becomes his Hulk. His Hulk is more lanky, more skinny, but from, like, certain camera angles, he looks taller than Lou Ferrigno. And I like to think that these two versions of Hulk are reflections of the people. But like I said, like how Banner's Hulk is like a noble savage and a gentle giant, Don Fry's Hulk is just this bloodthirsty killer. He's crazy. He wants the power, because once he gets the power again, he's like, don't mess with me, you know what, when I get angry, you know what I can do. He starts picking fights, he's beating his bullies up, like, I don't know if he does, like, they had a right to bully him, but I don't know. I kind of wish, because what is their beef with him? I think they're just people who don't like him, consider him like the weirdo of the town, I guess. But this whole, like, and he's played by Dick Warlock, who also played Swamp Thing in both the two movies and the series that was made. I'm gonna be honest. The ending of the second part is where it really amps up, but it's very heartbreaking because Donald Fry's creature finds the cure for that Banner made, and he throws it and it breaks. This does lead to one of the saddest transformations into the Hulk. I know it's probably what people call a Hulk out, but I consider it a transformation because it's more sad. And you got Banner crying, the eyes are changing, and he's saying no, and you hear the mixture of sadness and anger, because also at this time, Bill Bixby was not doing the best. Unfortunately, his wife and son, unfortunately, took their lives, and you could see the pain through his acting in that scene where he's unleashing all this sadness, this crying, and this anger. And the thing is, when he changes the Hulk, he's still crying. Even the Hulk, like, touches his eye and looks like, am I crying? Like, he doesn't, like, why? And the thing is, Don Fry's Hulk is an instigator. He's pushing the Hulk around, and it kind of shows shows more of Hulk's peaceful nature, but also he's feeling the emotions of Banner just entering his Hulk form. So he's kind of taken off guard, and for a little bit he gets kind of tossed around, which it kind of shows how he's very peaceful. Like, you gotta provoke the Hulk, you gotta get him angry, and unfortunately, Donald Fry's creature does that, pushes Hulk around, and Hulk retaliates, leading to a tussle in the laboratory, and ultimately, Don Fry's creature gets taken out by the sheriff. And it seems that bullets can kill a Hulk. We know that in later comics he has a healing factor a lot quicker than Wolverine, and I guess the Widow shields Banner's Hulk and Hulk leaves. That is one of my favorite episodes. Now, I am going to talk briefly about the 96 series. Unfortunately, because this is almost like a half an hour long video, so I want to try and wrap things up as quick as I can. The 96 animated series is actually one of my childhood favorites. Once again, Lou Ferrigno actually reprises the Hulk, giving the sounds and actually speaking lines to the Hulk. The best way I can describe the Hulk in this series is like he's a big, innocent, angry child who has a good heart. And I really like how he does give Hulk a voice where Hulk's like, Hulk, puny toy, pound puny toy, eat green. I don't know, I like that. I actually like how he talks, like, you hear the sweetness and innocence of Hulk's nature, but like the intro, for example. The intro perfectly shows how scary Hulk is, how gentle and how he is willing to listen, because when he sees Rick take off his helmet, he has like one car in each hand, and then his face softens, and then he leaps, puts them down, and jumps away. But it also shows the tragedy of the Hulk, that the Hulk will always be a target on both the sides of the military and the antagonist, the leader, and his Gamma Warriors, and the Gargoyle, that Igor-looking fellow with the big head. And also, this is where we meet a lot of the mutations, mainly Abomination. Get a lot of episodes where Thor and the Fantastic Four show up. And also, She-Hulk and Grey-Hulk. But yeah, 96, the Hulk the Animated Series was one of my childhood favorites. Now I am going to talk about his MCU series. Is what I do know. Well, for his first movie was in 2003. I found that movie kind of interesting because it went more into the psychological mind of Banner, showing that the Hulk was just this suppressed emotion, and the only thing the gamma radiation did was bring it out, make it physical. Also, Sam Elliott playing Thunderbolt Ross. Why couldn't they not keep that? Oh, I know it was Sam Elliott's, I think, 84th birthday. Happy belated birthday, Sam Elliott. I think he made a good Thunderbolt Ross. I kind of wish he stayed as Thunderbolt Ross throughout the movies. I think that'd been kind of cool. Can you imagine Sam Elliott as President Thunderbolt Ross becoming the Red Hulk? That would have been awesome. Sam Elliott as the Red Hulk. That I think would have been kind of awesome. But then we move on to the 2008 Hulk, which initially leads to his next film appearance, The Avengers. In 2008, The Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton plays Dr. Banner, and we are also once again introduced to Emil Blonsky and his alter ego, The Abomination. Once again, Lou Ferrigno makes a cameo appearance as a security guard, and he actually does some of the sound effects and vocal lines that he does have for the Hulk in the movie. And I have to say, I like that version of the Hulk, too. I like that the 2003 kind of focused on the psychological and traumatic side of Banner, while you could say the 2008 Hulk film took one from the comics, but also took little bits of the 70s TV show where he's on the run, and he's got the army breathing down his neck. His next big appearance was in the first Avengers. And I gotta say, Hulk was still good. I'd have to say, when he shows up, they treat him like a horror movie, like a monster. Like, he's not immediately this gentle guy that's willing to help. Like, when he changes, Mark, once again, he actually is played this time by Mark Ruffalo, who is now the current actor playing Dr. Bruce Banner, and also playing the Hulk. I do like his fight with Thor. I love what he does to Loki, and I love that he saves Iron Man in the first Avengers. But then, in Age of Ultron, Banner has this weird romance with Black Widow. I'm sorry, I can't really blame him. Who would not want to get with Black Widow? You know, Scarlett Johansson, she's a very beautiful woman, very talented, you know, and I mean that full-heartedly. But I had to admit it was a little weird seeing were they like doing a reference to Beauty and the Beast pretty much? That's what it kind of felt like. Of course, the Hulk does have quite a few scenes that really stick out, of course, where he's helping the Avengers take on the resistance of Hydra to get some of the Chitauri tech and Loki's staff back. His big scene is when he's being controlled by Scarlet Witch and is rampaging, and Tony Stark comes in with the Hulkbuster, so we get actually our first on live-action screen depiction of Hulk fighting the Hulkbuster Iron Man suit for the first time. And I gotta say, that was one of the big highlights for me. But then, throughout the movie, we see him, like, helping out in the Battle of Sokovia, and he uppercuts Ultron. Like, Ultron's like, in the benefit of hindsight, and then all the other Ultrons are looking at Hulk, and Hulk charges them, and they're like, oh shit, we're out of here! And if you look closely, some of these Ultrons are ripped in half, and they're crawling, some of them are limping, and some of them, like, are just sprinting, like they don't want no part of this. I have to say, his next, and of course we do end with Hulk leaving. He actually just, Black Widow tries to tell him to bring down, and then he turns it off, and his next appearance is Thor Ragnarok, where actually he's been Hulk for a while, and he's actually speaking a lot more. I want to say this was the perfect blend of the Beast and the Gentle Giant, because Hulk knew when to be a beast, but he also knew how to more properly communicate, not Hulk smash, even though that's really freaking iconic. You know, that was a perfect blend of Hulk being the Beast and being one to actually better communicate more properly. And I gotta say, his standout scenes is once again his rematch with Thor, and also when he's like trying to keep Thor from leaving, saying, "Friends, stay, don't go." And I gotta admit, that's kind of sad. But what's even sadder is what follows up. Thor, in a frantic panic and hurry, is hitting all the buttons, and then he activates the hologram recording of Black Widow, and Hulk starts to transform. Like, he's starting to calm down, and then you can see, like, he can feel like Banner's starting to kind of stir in there. And he's punching himself, and he's, like, free. He looks sad. Like, when he roars at one point, he looks scared and terrified, like he doesn't want to change back. And you literally see him, like you can see him, like, shrinking up and down, like, on small, big. He's like, no, Banner. And we've never seen that before. We've never seen that, where Hulk is trying to literally fight the change in live action. I don't, maybe it's been done in the comics, but seeing that on screen, I was like, oh my god, he's never done that before. And then we have Hulk helping Thor fight Hela and her giant wolf. I gotta admit, I feel bad for the wolf. I am a lover of animals. I can't help myself. Then we have his brief appearance in Avengers Infinity War, where ultimately he does get his ass handed to him by Thanos. And then Banner's going through this crisis throughout the movie where Hulk does not want to come out. Now here's when things go downhill. Now look, I get they were trying to do Professor Hulk. I think for Endgame, he was done decently. One thing that I did not like was that he did not get a rematch with Thanos, which I think Hulk deserved. Now, to be honest, I never seen the She-Hulk series, and I hear a lot of people saying some people like it, some people do not. I may give it a watch at some point, so I can't really talk about it because I never really seen it. But I do know Professor Hulk is in that. Now, his next appearance, actually, I believe is actually Spider-Man Brand New Day. And Hulk does not really play a big part, even though he was featured in a lot of the marketing. Now, we do get him being controlled. We see Banner with this inhibitor now being a teacher at a college, and Peter Parker's going to talk about his mutation changing and making him more aggressive, and he does make an inhibitor. Later on in the film, we do find out that our antagonist, Jean Grey, is trying to get into damage control by using the Hulk, and even Spider-Man's like, you can't control the Hulk! And at first, it's Smart Hulk, but you could see with the influence and control of Jean Grey, Smart Hulk is acting a little bit more aggressive, to say the least, leading to a very interesting fight between Smart Hulk, Spider-Man, and Punisher. And it does lead to Smart Hulk being temporarily defeated, him reverting to Banner, and Banner's freaking out like, oh my god, did I do this? And of course, we do have the moment where Smart Hulk's like, get out! Like, he's like trying to get Jean Grey out of his head. But this does lead to something a lot more worse. The Beast has been, and even Banner says, I think she broke something. I'll tell you what she broke, Banner. She broke the freaking cage, and now the Beast is out. Because this leads to Banner becoming the Savage Hulk again. He's like, get out of the building. He's like, no, and he's here, and you hear the voice. You see him like him changing, and you hear the sadness and like the desperation in his voice, like telling Spider-Man to get everyone out of the building because he knows what's about to happen. And he says, the other guy, and then he's changing, and he is huge in this movie. Oh my god, he is gigantic. I'm thinking that's from a lot of suppressed radiation on top of, him being suppressed for all those years since Endgame. The Savage Hulk is back, and it does lead to a very intense but brief battle between Spider-Man and the Savage Hulk. I do know from what I heard from my friends that there's been some concept art leaked of the Hulk, like some of his alternate designs, and one of them was going to be from the 1960s cartoon. Like, one of the artists actually they had some different designs for Hulk. And I'm thinking, whoa, that would have been kind of cool, like him changing more into like the cartoon version from the 60s. Because there was it's either a 60s or 70s cartoon of the Hulk, and he was going to look like that. That would have been cool. I've seen only 2 episodes of that cartoon. 2. I want to see more, actually. And I gotta admit, Hulk doing his thunderclap on Spider-Man was actually kind of cool. And I will admit, it was very reminiscent of King Kong, where he's on the side of I think the damage control is located in Empire State, the Empire State Building. And, Hulk is just showing and a lot of people say he's nerfed. I don't personally believe that. Do I think he could have done a lot more damage? Yeah. Especially how big his hands are. Oh my god, his hands were huge. And he's got all the webbing and the debris holding him, and Hulk is just so pissed, and he looks awesome in this. He looks like, they even said they wanted to kind of, remove some of the humanity out of, some characteristics of Mark Ruffalo's Banner out of the Hulk to make him look more beastly, more monstrous. I like it, but how the fight ends is where I'm like, whoa, did they go there? Because, okay, if you haven't seen the movie, spoilers for the last final scene, we see Hulk. Hulk, has literally Spider-Man on the ground, and the one thing I will say, I am glad that Spider-Man did not beat him. And I just like how Hulk grabbed the Shocker Gauntlet and just looked at it, kind of looked at it bitch, please, you really think that's gonna work on me? He crushes it. He literally brings a part of the ceiling down on Spider-Man and tries to punch him, but Spider-Man is just barely dodging him, and I'm thinking the impacts alone are enough to hurt him. And then Hulk grabs him, and oh my god, if Hulk wanted to, he could have popped his head off like a soda can. The top of a soda bottle. Pop, And he's like, I'm your friend, and then it's almost like he's regressing, after all those works in the Gamma Lab, he's gotta, go back to scratch again. But is it gonna be the same again? Is he gonna want to merge? I don't think so. and Hulk is just looking kind of sad, and he willingly, he backs off, but then some of the debris gives underneath his feet, and he falls, like, he's grabbing on, but then he willingly lets go. And if you notice, as he's falling, he's changing into Banner. And I'm thinking, how the hell did Banner survive that fall? And now, at first I thought that, I'm like thinking, oh my god, he's just turning into a normal human now. How the hell is he going to survive the fall? And I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably the gamma radiation that's going to save him. Because I can guarantee, if the gamma radiation was not in Banner, he would have been street pizza. Sorry to say. Our last scene of Banner is, like, he's asking, did I hurt anyone? Is anyone hurt? Is everyone okay? Is it just me? It's just me, and that's what we see of him. And we hear that he's going to a, quote-unquote, psychiatric ward. I get a feeling he's either being taken to the Raft or some other super prison for super-powered beings. Now, the future of the Hulk is uncertain, but we know the Beast is back. We know the Savage Hulk is back and is here to stay. He's bigger, greener, and meaner than ever. And I gotta say, Hulk is one of my favorite characters. I wanted to go through his high points in my eyes from my childhood to now, and I think Hulk is someone we can all relate to. That anger inside, just wanting to explode, like all those raw, simplified emotions, anger, sadness, joy, that childlike innocence that Hulk does possess, that innocent curiosity also. So, the question is Hulk a man, monster, hero, or all? In my verdict, he's all. He's everything. Both the good and the bad side of all three. But I'm very eager to see Hulk's role in Avengers Secret Wars, since Mark Ruffalo kind of spilt the beans on that. I hope you enjoyed episode 6 of Character Critique, and a little hint for the 7th episode. I'll give you one hint, and probably all of you will figure it out. That's all you'll get. So, I wish you all a good night. I hope you all stay safe. Try and stay cool wherever it is you live. And I hope you enjoyed episode 6 of Character Critique. And until next time, I am Draco Prime 220, and I'm signing off for tonight. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe. Help my channel continue to grow. It would mean a lot to me. So, thank you, and you all have a good night, and stay safe, everyone. See ya. And eat green.